Coming up on Yao on Sports, the landscape of the NFL shifted dramatically. Deshaun Watson is going to Cleveland, how the deal got done, and what the outlook is for the Browns this upcoming season. Plus, a blockbuster trade in Green Bay. Davante Adams is heading to Las Vegas. What does the future hold for both the Packers and Raiders? And that is just the beginning of the latest quarterback news. Tom Brady is back, Russell Wilson is a Bronco, and Aaron Rodgers is staying in Green Bay. But how does all of this news impact the league going forward? Well, that is what we're here to discuss, and I hope you can keep up, because it's Yao on Sports. Let's go. Welcome to Yao on Sports. I'm your host, Yao Bonsu. After eliminating the Browns from his list of potential trade destinations, Deshaun Watson has backtracked and will join Cleveland in a seismic deal. The Browns are sending 3 first-rounders, a 3rd-round pick, and a 4th-round pick for Deshaun Watson and a 5th-rounder. Watson is also signing a 5-year, $230 million fully guaranteed deal, the highest guaranteed dollars for any player in NFL history. Let that settle for a second. Over $200 million guaranteed. On the Browns' part, they are getting a player here that, when fully healthy, is a top 5 quarterback in the National Football League. However, Deshaun Watson still faces potential legal problems after 22 women made sexual misconduct claims. So it makes sense that the Browns gave Watson a base salary of $1 million for 2022 because if Watson is suspended, the fines would be taken out of that number. But regardless, the success of the Browns this season depends on how long, if at all, Watson is suspended. Yes, Watson is 26 and has a future that should last well over a decade with Cleveland. But the way the conference is constructed this year, a lot of teams are making moves as if they believe they can win the Super Bowl this year, which is exactly what Cleveland did. The Browns are ready to win now. Maybe they need some help on the outside to complement Amari Cooper. But as a whole, if things go in a positive direction for Cleveland, that will end up being a fantastic trade. But understand, Cleveland is by no means a lock to make it out of the AFC because of some of the other teams that we'll get to in a bit. The team is also not a lock to make it out of the division, considering it has the reigning AFC champions and Lamar Jackson. The move was great for Cleveland from the standpoint of Baker Mayfield was holding the team back, and with a roster like that, it is only right to go after an elite quarterback, and that QB was Deshaun Watson. But this might just be the biggest gamble in NFL history. The trade package might have been a lot for someone whose punishment still looms. In more NFL news, All-Pro wide receiver Davante Adams is heading to Vegas in another blockbuster deal. The Raiders are sending a 1st and 2nd round pick in this year's draft for Adams, who is set to sign a new contract, making him the highest paid non-QB in the NFL. 5 years, $142.5 million, including $67.5 million guaranteed. Adams now reunites with his former college quarterback Derek Carr and achieves a lifelong dream of playing for the Raiders. My first thought when this trade happened was the AFC is going to be an absolute bloodbath. You rarely see the best player at a position be traded, and the fact that this comes with the league's best division adds on to the chaos that will ensue come September. But with all due respect to Derek Carr, with all due respect, he is no Aaron Rodgers. I fully expect Davante Adams to have his worst season in 3 to 4 years, and that's not a bad thing because Adams has been playing at such an elite level. I just believe that on a team with Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller, and Josh Jacobs, Davante Adams is not going to have a 31% target share. He's not going to rack up 1,500 to 1,600 yards despite being capable. But what does this do for the Raiders' chances in the AFC West? Las Vegas now has the best receiving corps in the division. I know Juju signed with Kansas City, but as far as weapons go, I'm going with Vegas. But despite that, Vegas is probably the worst team in the division still. If there's one move that is going a bit under the radar, it is Khalil Mack to the Chargers. I know Khalil Mack has not been the defensive player of the year type figure that he's been in years past. But understand, he is one of the best, if not the best, run stopper in the NFL. If there's any place to light that fire again, it is Los Angeles, where you know the offense is going to limit the amount of time you spend on the field. Along with that, having Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa on your defense with the possibility of having Jordan Davis is something that QBs in the division or really across the league should be shaken up about. Chargers general manager Tom Telesco came prepared to spend money this offseason, and he has done it intelligently. Having Justin Herbert on a rookie deal allows for some moves to be made by LA, a team that's going to need to be aggressive if it wants to compete for a division title and perhaps even a Super Bowl. But let's shift to some GOAT talk now. Believe it or not, Tom Brady is back. Brady made the announcement on Twitter and says, "These past 2 months I've realized my place is still on the field and not in the stands. That time will come, but it's not now. I love my teammates and I love my supportive family. They make it all possible. I'm coming back for my 23rd season in Tampa, unfinished business. And if you know, you know. Let's bleeping go." Brady could not have picked a better time to retire and unretire. With Russell Wilson going to Denver and Watson choosing not to switch over, that creates a very weak NFC conference. Looking at it now, the only formidable threats to the Bucs are the Rams and the Packers. Of course, there are teams that may be looking to trade for an elite quarterback, but as of now, that is where things stand. People have to remember, though, the Bucs still have pending free agents, which means even though Tampa Bay has its star QB back, it will have to do some maneuvering in its front office in order to put back together a team that can win a Super Bowl title. Brady returns after finishing number 2 in MVP voting behind eventual winner Aaron Rodgers. Brady threw for over 5,000 yards and 43 touchdowns, leading Tampa Bay to a 13-4 record. The Bucs ended their season with a 30-27 loss to the Rams in the divisional round. Now the team gets Brady back for another Super Bowl run. And if I had to choose today, I'm taking the Bucs to raise the Lombardi Trophy. But that was not the only QB news over the past week or so. Russell Wilson's time in Seattle has come to an end. The 9-time Pro Bowler was traded to the Denver Broncos. Seattle sends Wilson, a 4th-round pick to Denver for 2 first-rounders, 2 second-rounders, a 5th-rounder, as well as 3 players, Drew Lock, Shelby Harris, and Noah Fant. Congratulations to the Denver Broncos. You went from having the worst quarterback in the division to having the 3rd best quarterback in the division. Things are a whole lot tougher now, and these young Broncos receiver finally have a QB that they can depend on. But can Jerry Jeudy be to Russell Wilson what Davante Adams was to Aaron Rodgers, what Jamar Chase is to Joe Burrow, what Cooper Kupp is to Matt Stafford? Because despite the influx of talent that Denver happens to have at its skill positions, Jeudy now more than ever will have to take that leap into becoming a star receiver for this Denver team. The Broncos gave up a haul for a quarterback that still might not be enough to get the team over the hump this season. Kansas City still has its big 3 intact. The Chargers made some big moves, which we'll get to, and are highly predicted to draft Jordan Davis, which if that happens, as I said before, quarterbacks like Russell Wilson are going to need to keep scrambling around outside the pocket. This trade makes the AFC that much more competitive. However, I'm not sure that Denver should be considered among the elite in the conference. Let's say the division cancels itself out, the teams split the season series with each other. You still have Buffalo, Baltimore, Tennessee, despite how bad Ryan Tannehill is sometimes, and that is just how rosters are constructed right now. Who knows what other teams will do? Denver does not have to, I don't think Denver can creep above some of these teams with the acquisition of Russell Wilson. And I would feel better about this trade if Wilson was not coming off his worst season since 2017. To cap off the QB carousel, at least among elite quarterbacks, is the news surrounding Aaron Rodgers. The reigning MVP, the reigning back-to-back MVP, is staying in Green Bay. Rodgers made his own announcement on Twitter saying, "Hey everyone, just wanted to clear some things up. Yes, I will be playing with the Packers next year." He goes on to say that a contract has yet to be signed. But since the tweet, Rodgers has signed a 3-year, $150 million deal with the first 2 years fully guaranteed. However, things get very interesting now that Davante Adams is no longer rocking the green and gold. Who will be the number 1 target for Rodgers? It certainly cannot be Randall Cobb, right? So if you're the Green Bay front office, you have to make an effort to sign any combination of Julio Jones, Jarvis Landry, and Odell Beckham Jr. All 3 receivers need that career revitalization, and right now, the best QB to do that with is, well, the MVP, Aaron Rodgers. Granted, Rodgers is 10-1 without Adams in his career, but that leaves a major hole for a team that had over 30% of its targets going to Adams. That chapter is over, and Green Bay has to look to ink the previously mentioned veteran guys. But back to Aaron Rodgers coming back. Aaron Rodgers coming back does not make Green Bay any more of a threat than they were at this point last season. The biggest stain on Aaron Rodgers' career is the fact that he won one Super Bowl ring and has since failed to return to the big game. There's no reason to believe it will not be different this upcoming year, despite who they may add. I'll take the Rams repeating or the Bucs winning again before I even say one thing about the Packers contending. Aaron Rodgers is back, big whoop. But who can be that number one guy, that X factor to carry Green Bay back to 13-win territory? Finally, the Washington Commanders, after aggressively pursuing Russell Wilson, will instead settle on Carson Wentz as its new quarterback. It's as if you wanted one girl, but she chose to go to the more attractive guy. Now you have to settle with your second-rate choice. That is exactly what we're looking at here. And Washington traded a second-round pick, a third-round pick, and a pick that can be converted into a higher one if Wentz plays 70% of snaps. In return, the Commanders received Carson Wentz, a second-rounder, and a seventh-rounder. It was a packed week or so in the NFL, and I assure you that there is much more to come. That'll do it for this edition of Yao on Sports. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Yao on Sports, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.